All right. Tested one, two, three, ladies and gentlemen. Think we're going. Let's check the YouTube screen. And yep, looks like we're going. All right. I got chat off screen. If you guys want me to bring it on, we can, but I believe you guys have access to it in the window as well. So I'm just gonna leave it full screen for now. We'll see how it goes. Um, so a few days ago, we had the market, popping up here. BTC was getting above trend lines. Um, Volume was pretty good. Got above average volume. About 20% or so, maybe a little less actually. Um, Hoping we were going to start a trend. We immediately moved up a little bit and then got a pullback yesterday all the way down to the trend line. And now we're just going low, slow, and sideways. I'm hoping that we can stay above the trend line. We do need to get some additional volume in BTC. I think more volume is better. I do like what the VA tool is doing though on the daily. We got a whole series of green here on the way up. Um, RSI trend line here didn't really do too good. That one would have worked out okay. Okay. So at this time, we're essentially waiting for the market to confirm we're rallying. But the hard part, at least for me, is that we're not really fully above these highs. We're right back at them, as a matter of fact. And we need to solidify our position up here in some way, shape, or form, either by just staying up here in a channel above the area and right, this whole channel or square, if you will, if I draw a rectangle around this, we've been chopping around the area. We never got above the area. So that wreaks a little bit of, inability to move forward. It reminds a little bit about what we went through back here in 2021, right? So we got to a high level, we were able to chop above it, but we couldn't sustain. Volume was low, and we rolled over. So I'm hoping we're not going to be stuck back in that situation, but obviously there's no guarantee in either direction. So this is probably our worst case scenario now. Now, if you remember back in this time frame, this had a very small cup and handle that failed. We don't really have anything quite like that yet. You start to draw trend lines, trying to look for reversals. Excuse me. Your big thing is very likely just a breakdown of this base. Sometimes the signals you get are smaller. They're not as loud. They're just not as loud. They're more minor. So here, hold on a sec. So your cues become a little more subtle, especially if you fail to move up, because it doesn't look like anything. Doesn't look like much. As a matter of fact, this day here almost looks like our volume candle we had the other day. Now this bear flag almost looks like what we're in right now. So I'm hoping we can chop and stay sideways and stay up, but obviously there's no guarantees. And what I call this a cup and handle. No, this would be more of a double bottom going horizontal right, kind of about where we failed. Yeah, right there. Thanks, Ethan. So a double bottom base, if this fails, this is a double bottom base that fails, and that's a cup and handle that fails. So if this does fail, you're looking for where we fail. And you can take our trend line here, we can readjust it because we've gone sideways through that, once it broke, we've gone sideways, and that's where we end up. So if we start going through this trend line, things are going to start getting a little hairy. Be really much more clear for you to bounce up off of it. I think that's going to be really the thing to look for. And we got a little bit of time here. I don't think there's much, I want to see it play out, but again, we are kind of stuck with the low volume, so I'm not really enjoying everything that's happening here at the moment. It's just seems like a little bit of a rinse and repeat of 2021. We need some volume, we need some verticality, we need to get off of the line, which is basically where we're at, almost verbatim. I don't have a line drawn, but I do like using those first highs because there's your swing failure. And we're really this this area right around this 108, 108, 338. This is the kind of the line in the sand, if you will, right now, in my opinion. Um, It'd be nice if we were to hold up. If we were to chop and go back down, you know, all bets are off at that point. And it's hard to know if we're going to go back down to a bear market or what's going to happen. So last time we did this, let me do this real quick. There we go. Yeah, so last time we did this, if we once we broke that line definitively, we dropped about 75%. That'd put us back down at, a little over 25,000 probably. 27,000 would be about 75%. If that happens, what does that what does that look like? You know what I mean? Hold on, Google's giving me some garbage. Give me 1 second here. I need to pull up. My real crypto thing always signs me out. Usually, yeah, 9 o'clock. That's about right. You guys have probably seen this a lot on some of the previous streams, but be back in a second. There we go. Let me get my other screen back up. Okay. Yeah, so if we do pull back, if things are, A to B, A to B, and okay, I guess that thing went away. But yeah, we're kind of right back down to there. That same pivot point. Look at that. That's interesting. Yeah, basically right back down to that same pivot point. So I guess I'm almost at 1010. I'm not sure what the high. I'm not sure what the high is. Where's my indicators? Okie dokie. What's going on? Why don't I have any indicators here? Oh, that was weird. That just popped back up. That was very strange. Anyway, you get, and now we're bouncing back and forth. So high is 111,965. Okay. Huh, that was weird. So 111,965 down to 25. Pretty interesting run there. But we are in that place where something's got to happen or nothing's going to happen. It's kind of what it seems like. Volume is even lower here. This weekly chart does a good job. It gives us a little bit of ability, but volumes decline across BTC anyways. That's just how it works, right? Hold on here. All right, let's get this back on track. So now going down to the 2 hour, we start to see, the volume, the lack thereof, kind of really come into effect, and just move into a position of, something's going to have to happen. Now we don't really have a tremendous amount of selling pressure, but doesn't mean it can't come in. And so I think we just have to take the signals as they come. We start to get breakdowns. I almost think you have to believe it, even though, not a perma bear, but I do like to think that the market generally, has an upside bias to it. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. The market is looking a little lazy across the board. That's the other thing as well. There's really nothing jumping. We had a couple things attempting to go. Sui, ETH looked good for a minute, and even Hype looks pretty good still if it can break out of its head and shoulders pattern. But really, other than that, nothing's going. Sui's doing nothing, or Sol's doing nothing. Sui isn't doing too much anymore. Um, Hard to see where that next growth phase is going to come from if Bitcoin can't provide it. And so right now we're chopping around. We got out of this very small consolidation up here, broke to the downside, and very likely, I don't know, given that bear flag looking pretty ominous, starting to roll over a little bit, maybe Hing. Looks like a good shorting opportunity, as a matter of fact. It's gonna be one of those things where you have to, what does your bias tell you? And then, even based on your bias, what are your signals telling you? And that's more important than your bias for sure. All right, water break for a second. Okay. All right. So that's BTC. Yeah, that's all there is. We need to move up. We need some volume. We need something. The weekly volume looks even worse than the daily volume. Does a good job of amalgamating everything and giving a little bit of a more clear picture historically. But you can see it here too. The daily volume average is decreasing, and the spikes are getting smaller as well. So it's going to be tough here on the long side, barring I don't know, barring a long thing. So little more bearish after going through all that with you guys for the past 5, 10 minutes, I guess. So yeah, not a big fan of that right there. I want the volume. Um, I want the volume, but if you're just trading signals, um, I think you have a decent shorting opportunity with a stop up here. Are we going to go back up? Maybe, but if we do, then you can just flip it. The loss is minimal. All right, let's move on. We're gonna go through the top 20. I don't have too many altcoins. If anyone feels like speaking up, cool. Otherwise, we'll just do the show, do the power hour kind of as normal, and we'll go through some stocks later as well. Ethereum choppy sideways. We had the little head and shoulders here, looking for the breakdown, but it never occurred. Then we started chopping, small undercut and rally here, and we've been in a small uptrend ever since. Notice I'm using the word small a lot because we're not getting a lot of really good things. So it is small action. We're still in the confines of this horizontal. Again, lack of verticality, lack of directionality even in this name. Ethereum's in a good spot though. I mean, it's in the middle of this range between, this area and this area. So I'm hoping it pops back up, but that's all I can do. I can't really affect the outcome, unfortunately. XRP, looking, I mean, on the daily here, it's looking a little bit better the way I have that trend line formed. Didn't realize I clicked on text. Um, Looking like a pennant, like a flag of some sort. The intraday looks fine. Really could go any direction. I think that if XRP can pop, that would bode well for the markets. This looks a little bit better on the daily here in the intraday than I think ETH and BTC do, but it doesn't tend to lead too often. It moves by itself, so it doesn't mean much. BNB got pretty sideways a week or so ago here, and then we popped out of that. Unfortunately, it really hasn't been met with any volume. I mean, the volume is not even average, not even close to average, and we're just really really low on volume. So we're not getting a lot of action on BNB, which doesn't bode well. Solana, this one's okay. We're not rallying up, but we are above the trend line, and we're going horizontal with the downward sloping trend line. This often leads to good moves. Solana can be a market leader, um, and maybe it's leading by not moving. Maybe that's because that's what the market's doing. So Solana is doing the same thing. And with that in perspective, you got to wait to see if Solana is going to move up and become a market leader again. Had a decent move up over there. Did get above average, at least for the one. Oh, I guess that was at the top. So yeah, that day a little bit lackluster, and they can't all be rock stars. But hopefully it stays in the channel and then pops up. Doge. This is kind of where you start to see some bear flags. There's quite a few bear flags out there right now. A lot more bear flags than other patterns. The good thing is we're above these lows. Ideally, even if the bear flags try to break, we do something at this low. And this is going to be going forward to any chart you see with a bear flag. Hopefully you do something at the low of the flag, undercut and rally, some type of support, double bottom, doesn't quite get there and then reverses up something. Otherwise, if we start taking legs lower, then we're going to be looking at that topping scenario with BTC. And I don't think too many people want that right now, but it's going to do what it's going to do. Tron looks pretty good, not too bad, not too great either. It does kind of move counter to the market sometimes, but overall, it's got a good trend. Just a really nice trend to it, all the way back from the 750 down to 28. Taking a lot longer to get there. It's like a year and a half, 2 years worth of charts right here to do that. But um, if you like Tron, it's, pullback buys have been pretty good at it recently, and we are not in a downtrend, so that's a positive, at least for that name. Cardano. Bear flag. So those bear flag rules apply, right? Looking for undercut and rallies, looking for double bottoms, things like that. Starts taking out these lows and just get out of dodge on this, on any name that starts taking out those lows. That's you don't need to be involved in that at all. Hype still fighting the good fight up here, although that triple top is holding. We did exceed it a little bit, so probably go a little bit horizontal now. Yeah, triple top horizontal now. Um, So that is your, in my opinion, right now, that is going to be your stop if you're shorting this, or if you want to long this, that could also be your entry point, negating that. I would also really like to see better volume and some market participation across the board. Sui, just looks like a bear flag. Really does just look like a bear flag. I'm hoping we can get back above this declining trend line. I'm not sure if that would negate the bear flag, but it would definitely, you know, put some points in that corner. Chainlink, kind of a bull flag. Swing failure pattern a couple days ago on Thursday. Are we able to stabilize out and go above the trend line? That would be good, although Chainlink hasn't led for years now. AVAX, head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders pattern. Volume signature is pretty good. I think it's valid, but the neckline's crazy, and we don't really see too much accumulation on this side. So this is one to keep an eye on, but may not be able to give you very clear signals. Leo choppy sideways, really doing nothing until that point breaks. XLM just continuing down in this channel. This only moves with XRP for the most part, and is really not doing anything. Bitcoin Cash pulling in, um, showing a little bit less of that leadership that it had the past couple of months, as a matter of fact. Zoom out, see where we are here. Getting towards the top of the channel. Maybe it's a false move down. We do it, then we reject it handily. That would make this a certified channel, 100% with a third touch. We'll see how that goes. Ton, Hing over here. This thing hasn't really been very performant anyways. Shiba, playing in lows. Not a great signal here. I mean, it's found support down at this 1044, but it needs to get up. H-bar. Also a bit of a bear flag. We have quite a few trend lines we can draw there. Get rid of a couple of them, I guess. Whoops. Um, yeah, so doing okay, but bear flagging needs to pop up. And, even all the way down here, three-quarters way through the top 20, we just don't have a lot of good quality setups right now. Litecoin started out performing, topping candle's been pulling in ever since. If this turns into a cup, that could be good, and this could be the flat action of the cup. So we'll see what we end up with on this one. But um, yeah, interestingly, this high volume topping candle looks pretty good intraday. V-tool doesn't show too much selling pressure. Buyers definitely had control, so hopefully this can curl back around. But again, it would be one of a couple that really look like it has that potential right now. DOT, bear flag on the daily and under these lows. So at least I played around with it. Like I said, if it starts to take out these lows, you got to get out of the way. You do not want to be involved when something starts looking like this. Monero, sideways through the trend line, stalling candle a couple days ago, not looking super hot. This is a tough one, I think, unless you get like a firm break. And this trend line here, not bad. That's a manageable consolidation. This with the angle of descent here, not a big fan of it. If you want to play to the long side, I think you're looking at either buying lower or buying on a breakout right here at about the 330. And then Pepe bear flagging. Right there, bear flagging. Not much to do there. Do you want to buy the bottom of the bear flag? I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, nothing that great going on there. All right, let me see what I had in the newsletter. Oh, I had one or two. Yeah, we had a couple. Bonk, for whatever reason, is getting the bid I didn't put it on the past couple of days, but today I don't think I can avoid it. Nice little consolidation, and it moved up. High volume stalling candle there, so that could put a damper on things. But if we're able to hold, then maybe Bonk can get a bid. I don't know where it can go. This thing really has had that one, I guess, that pop and that pop. You just kind of have to get a little bit lucky on this one. Those are high volume moves as well. So far, we have higher volume. We had some high volume here that came up and stalled out relatively quickly, and that preceded this large move, and kind of similar to this one. So maybe, however you want to play this one, you could wait for consolidation and hope for another move up that gets sold into. All right, then our buddy SEI. All right, so SEI doing okay through the trend line, low volume. Decisions need to be made if you're going to hold through this consolidation, or if you have profit, you're going to take it. Um, I don't have a bulletproof answer, unfortunately. You can argue that was broken as well. Um, it's not a great environment right now. SCI isn't doing too bad either. So this is a tough decision. Um, like I said, I don't have a great answer. We could go on to channel, which means this will pull in quite substantially. But the volume signatures here look pretty solid. VE tool does show the sellers are here as well. So we're not just completely bullish. So it's tough if you got big profits. You can always get back in. I think that's something that's underrated, um, especially if you're monitoring the situation, right? You could exit then put a limit buy at, like, say here, the 29.14. It's about 11% higher from where we are now. Um, yeah, it's just a tough one. I wish if the market looked a little bit better, I'd probably say maybe just keep it, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really look that great after going through everything, with again today and going through all that. Let me see what's going on with the live feed here. All right, got a few people watching. That's good. That was my newsletter, though, guys. That was pretty much everything I had today. We had Bonk, SEI, and BTC. I mean, it's a really small newsletter today because not much is really popping off at the moment. There's just really not much going on. A lot of bear flags. I'm just going to click on some random ones. Kind of a bear flag if you consider this part of the flag. Not too bad there. APT rolling over. Arguably a bull flag. Arguably. Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag, bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. Not a bear flag. It's Bitcoin Cash. We already went over that one. Blur with a bear flag, which that doesn't need to be on here. I don't think I put it somewhere else though. Yeah, Bonk, that's the one we covered. Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. No, not really a bear flag. Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. So just tons of bear flags. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I'm going to bounce. So let's see what's going on here. Um, we'll see what happens on Monday. Big beautiful bill was signed. Big shitty bill, I guess, but I don't know. Signing America's death warrant bill. I don't know. But the market seems stable. Once they realized Trump was gonna, back out of all of his tariffs, and then some countries would, back out of their position, I guess. Market's been pretty darn stable. I mean, it's just been stable. Soxel has had a tremendous run. Um, Easily could do more too. There's really not much wrong here. Nvidia in all-time highs, not really rallying like the days of old, but getting the job done. Gold consolidating still. I still think this has more room to go. Probably should adjust that trend line. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Um, yeah, when this breaks out, I think we could maybe go on another run again, whenever that is. Silver maybe could go earlier. We need a little bit more volume, but even able to move up with low volume can be a good thing. There's one of those channels on top of the downward sloping trend lines, so those can be very powerful. And I think silver's an all-time highs. Well, no, it's not an all-time highs. Is it? I don't know. Nope, there we go. Yeah, it's got more to go till it's an all-time highs, but it's, I mean, this is back in 2011, so not like it's recent history. But SLV is in a good spot, and some of your mega caps. Obviously, we already looked at Nvidia in highs. You got Microsoft here, pretty much in highs. Amazon getting close to highs. Meta right at highs, not quite over there though. And some up and comers. Reddit looking really solid, really solid. Our high flyers are coming to life. Our cloud computing stocks, Rigetti and IonQ. Volume could definitely be a little bit higher, but they're doing some pretty good things right here on the curl up from a declining trend line. And all these other ones are holding up pretty good too. Zscaler can't go down. Support of the 20 period moving average. That could be an entry on Zscaler. A little breakout, or even if it pulls back a little bit to the 20-day and then exit on a clear break of the 20-day. Rocket Lab, ATRO. And yeah, that's most of those. Get into the BTC derivatives. MicroStrategy looking pretty good. This is a cup and handle. Actually, that's a cup and handle. So you could argue there's a move out of here to be made. And that's one reason to be somewhat bullish on BTC. Now, BTC isn't beholden to these stocks, but oftentimes these stocks can precede moves in BTC. And I'm hoping that's the case. I don't have any positions in these, but I probably should explore some just to, in case they break out, just be ready. But a lot of these have had some pretty decent moves lately. IREN, just a massive, that's not solely BTC, but MicroStrategy, Reddit or Riot, kind of moving into a stalling candle. But look at that volume. It's like half of these big candles. So very likely, yeah, very likely. I mean, I don't know about very likely, but I'm hoping BTC is going to get a move out of that, out of, all of those things. So, but only time will tell. We can only wait and see. There's really not much else to do until stuff starts to move in either direction. You can just be ready with trading plans and go from there. Transports, good bid. Was that Thursday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Nice little move there up out of this consolidation. That bodes well for the stock market. That just bodes well. You get transports moving up, you're doing pretty good. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I'm out of here. You guys have a good day. Stay safe out there. And I will see you guys next time around. Have a great day. Bye-bye.